broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi there, everybody. Dr. Joe Dispenza here. My website's drjoedispenza.com. I'm the author of my latest book, You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. And you're listening to Kate and Justin on Extreme Health Radio. I hope you enjoy the show.
Well, Baby Kate, here we are once again on a Monday morning.
Can you even believe this?
We're
just rolling right through the end of the year, aren't we?
I know. It's awesome.
I love it. I love this time of year.
Today's one day before my birthday.
I know. Happy almost birthday.
I know.
Yes.
Yes, that's. I'm very excited.
You have some surprises coming your way.
Surprises coming my way tomorrow.
Birthdays are so fun. Yay.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is episode 349 of Extreme Health Radio, December 8th, 2014. So we appreciate you guys being on the live show. And we do broadcast live 2 days a week on Monday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you guys would like to join us, make some friends, and join the discussion, ask your questions, you can do that at extremehealthradio.com/live. And if you would love to support our show, that would be really amazing. We'd greatly appreciate that as the costs continue to rise. If you want to go through our link when you make any purchases on Amazon, that would be extremely helpful. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, and then if you go over there and then bookmark that link, and then use that every single time you make a purchase, that would help support the show. So we appreciate that during the holiday season. And really, any time of the year, you can remember to go through that. We'd appreciate that. What else is going on, Kate?
Gosh.
It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. Shocking.
Beautiful day.
Shocking.
You're right.
Once again.
We did have our 2 days of complete rain, which was amazing.
I know. Wasn't that nice?
But here it's sunny and about, 73 again?
Yeah.
That's pretty warm.
We might as well live in Hawaii. It's amazing. Okay, so we have a really great guest, Jackie Dumaine, on the show today. We're really excited about that. And her website is theyogacode.com, and you can get to it by going to the Yoga Code, www.theyogacode.com, as well as JackieDumaine.com, and we'll put links to her websites below this. But she's a yoga instructor, and it's going to be a really great show. And she had an experience traveling to India, and she left her corporate job, a six-figure career corporate job in advertising, to go to India and study. So found some interesting insights there. And so we're really excited to have her on the show today. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being on.
Thank you, Justin and Baby Kate. I really appreciate the invite to be here. I'm excited to share and to talk and to hopefully inspire your listeners.
I love it. You know what? Before the show, you were sharing our live interview on your Facebook page. I have to say, you might win the award for the fastest typer on the planet.
Oh, yes. Lots of practice.
Lots of practice. That's awesome. So you are up in Canada, is that correct?
I am. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, which is just on the base of the Rocky Mountains.
Oh my gosh. Are you freezing?
No, it's actually quite beautiful today. I'm not sure what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's maybe about 5 degrees Celsius.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Beautiful place, isn't it? Sounds like a great place.
It's gorgeous here. I mean, we've got a little bit of everything. Winters don't get as cold as some other parts in Canada. We get some reprise from the Chinook winds that come, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow. And have you been doing yoga for a long time yourself?
I started practicing yoga when, the first time I ever practiced, I was probably about 25 years old. And it made a huge impact on my life. I'm 41 now. And so I began practicing it before it was what yoga is today, the explosion of yoga. And I was going along this spiritual path. As a 25-year-old, 16 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot. There weren't the mentors that there are today. So I was a little bit lost on my path. So even though I had embarked on this journey of yoga, I got sidetracked and went into the world of media and advertising. And although I was very successful at it, I rediscovered yoga again. And that shifted everything for me.
Did you find that as you were doing yoga, as a 25, 26, 27, in that time when you were pursuing a career, did you find that there was a bigger gap growing between your joys of doing yoga and your career?
Yeah, what began to happen was there started to be a lot of inauthenticity in my life. I was in the world of media. I was, it's a very hectic, high-paced industry. A lot of pressure, I guess you could say, was one word for it. And as I said, although I was really, really good at my job, and there were certain aspects that I loved. I mean, I met with clients every day and developing promotional and advertising campaigns. There was something that began to shift. Of course, being in advertising, it's a very consumer-based world.
Yeah.
It always revolved around purchasing more, consuming more, buying more, and spending more. Mm-hmm. I just began, something started shifting in me, and I really couldn't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. It was just, there was something in my spirit that wanted more. And sorry, there was just a little bit of feedback. It's all gone now, so I can hear as crystal clear as ever. It's fantastic.
Oh, good. No worries.
So I apologize for that. If I seemed like I was stopping every few moments.
No worries. Sometimes if you're on our live page, sometimes there's audio that comes out of there that could cause that. So
yeah, no problem. It's all gone.
Cool.
Okay. Wow. This feels like a brand new show. Let's go. My spirit was becoming depleted, and I had this, what I call my defining moment. And I've shared this story so many times. And each time I do, because it's right around this time, 4 years ago that it happened. It was November 17th, 2008. And I was driving to the office, and something felt a little bit different that day. It had been a really challenging year for me. Again, with this kind of push-pull of not wanting to leave the security of the six-figure income, but yet feeling called to do something more in my life that I believed would have more purpose and meaning for myself and for others. Mm-hmm. And on this day in November, I drove to work, parked a few blocks away, and, had, again, what I call my defining moment. It was a bit of a breakdown. I cried nonstop. I couldn't let go of the steering wheel. I had an extreme anxiety and panic attack. And for a moment, I really didn't know if I wanted to continue living. I was lacking such purpose and such meaning that everything seemed really, really dark. And, as cliche as this sounds, but it is the truth. The sun literally came from around the building and hit me in the face. And I remember seeing it was very piercing in my eyes, but this warmth washed over me and a calmness at the same time. So as the heat of the sun warmed me, I felt this calm inside of me that everything was going to be okay. Not just in that moment, but that everything would be okay if I decided to leave that career. There was something, again, that was like this burst of courage that came over me. And I knew that I had to look at making an exit strategy. Right around that same time, a yoga studio opened around my home. So I had not gone back into yoga yet.
Oh, okay.
And, a couple days after this defining moment, I went to my doctor's office and, actually, no, I'm sorry. I called that day and was in the next day. And of course, in our Western world, if you go to see your doctor and you explain what had just happened and also explain that you're not happy with the things that, you used to be happy with, you're going to be given a prescription for antidepressants, like immediately, which is what happened. I started taking the antidepressants and also started going to the yoga studio when it opened. And it didn't take long for me to realize through the practice of yoga that it wasn't my body or my brain or my physical self that was depressed. It was my spirit that was sad.
Uh-huh.
And so I stopped taking the medication, started developing a really serious yoga practice, committed to it in an intense way, going every day, started meditating, etc. And it was months later that I discovered a brochure at the yoga studio for yoga teacher training in India. And I immediately knew upon seeing it, my intuition was screaming at me that this is what I had to do. I didn't know anything else, the highs, the hows, the why, any of it. I just knew that I had to do it.
So at this point, how long had you been in your corporate job?
5 years.
5 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were successful, and so people must have thought you were crazy when you told them you're going to go to India.
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't, just walk into my office the next day and quit. So I want to let people know that I wanted to ensure that I was debt free, that I had cash in the bank. So I had a 6-month exit strategy from the time I saw this brochure, which was in June of 2009. In January of 2010, 2 weeks before leaving, I gave my notice. And I waited that long because, in my line of work as a commissioned sales executive, if you were to tell them that you're going to be leaving in 6 months, they'll kindly ask you to pack your stuff up and walk you out of the building. So when I sat down with them and let them know that I was giving, my 2 weeks notice to terminate my employment, the first thing they asked me was, where are you going? And I knew what they meant by that. It was, which other company are you going to? Which competitor are you going to work with? Because that's typically how the industry of media can work. When you leave one industry, or rather one employer, and go to the competitor.
Uh-huh.
And I just had this internal smile that probably resulted in an external smile as I looked at them and I said, I'm actually leaving in 2 weeks to go live in an ashram in India and to become a yoga teacher.
Wow.
And there was a brief moment of silence. And I think perhaps some confusion, why I was going to leave all of this. And, but I was determined, and eventually had a lot of support from my employers as to what I was doing. And I think a little bit of envy as well from many of my colleagues.
That must have felt really powerful to you to say that to them, right? And actually speaking it out and saying it to them like that. It must have been very powerful.
It was powerful for me, and I'm hoping that it was, well, actually I know now, looking back, because many of them have spoken to me, I know that it was powerful for them to see someone making the decision to exit a life that was no longer serving them, to just develop that courage and take the risk. Even as a single mom, my son was 17 at the time, to take that risk to follow my heart. And so I believe it was powerful for everybody.
Yeah, I think there's something really powerful, because a lot of times we talk about this on the show. People do this, especially when they're coming out of school, college, or things, or even just people who are 20, 30 years old, tend to take the sort of the least best option that comes their way that pays well. And so they get an offer to do something they had never even thought of, or maybe they even said in their life, I would never do that. But they get this offer to do whatever it is that they've never thought about for, money that they never thought they could make. And they think, okay, well, the pay is good. And so I think there's something powerful about drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is something that I want to do.
Kind of reclaiming your territory, really.
Yeah, you're reclaiming your territory. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I believe that when, intuition hits us in such a strong way, and, throughout my coaching and workshops, I talk about intuition all the time, because when we start to not just listen to it, but follow through on it, which is in essence honoring it, it becomes stronger, and the signs that you get become louder. And that sign, to take that yoga teacher training for me, when I saw that brochure, was so incredibly strong. For me at that moment, there wasn't a choice.
Really?
There just wasn't a choice. And there was a lot of fear because I thought, wow, coming back, earning a yoga teacher's salary certainly wouldn't compare to earning when I was, to earning my advertising salary. But that didn't matter either. Somehow I knew it would all work out, which it did. I soon launched a company called Stillness Room and imported a line of meditation furniture, which resulted in some really cool partnerships with Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. And nice. I mean, the ball just started rolling. And that's what I really want to encourage people to believe, is that when you keep taking one step forward towards your dream or towards that goal and following your intuition, momentum starts to kick in and pick up. And it's nothing short of a miracle what can transpire.
That's amazing.
And what you can manifest.
We all have different journeys, and it's cool because the three of us, Kate, myself, and you, have all done the same thing. I walked away from a job that where I was doing computer sort of programming and some marketing and things, and Kate is a hairdresser, and she's going to be leaving that really soon. And so we're all three sort of living out the same kind of principles that you're talking about. My question is, would you have done this? You said you had like a 6-month sort of bankroll. If you were living more hand to mouth and you didn't have a savings, would you have felt the pull as much as you did? And do you think you still would have done it if it was even more risky, if you didn't have that 6-month backing?
Well, that's a really great question. And although I was making a 6-figure income, I was also spending a 6-figure income. So I had to really, when I made the decision, I had to sit down and get really truthful with myself, which is the second principle of the yoga code, truth. And I had to look around and ask myself, what's important to me? Like, what's important to me? How am I living that is going to support my new life, and what is going to pull me away from that? So I literally sat down one day and I looked at everything that I was spending, pulled out credit card statements, which I always neglected. I just didn't want to look at anything at the time. And I went line by line to see where I was spending money. And I was like spending on stuff that, just monthly subscriptions to things that you don't even remember that you have. And on that 1 hour of sitting down, I was able to, chop down $487 a month, cut down cable that I didn't need, et cetera. And it was extremely empowering to really evaluate what's important to me. How do I want to live? Do I need to continue buying $300 pairs of jeans? So I would say, for anyone that doesn't have the luxury of just walking in and quitting, before, sit down and get honest with yourself. How do you want your life to look? Where are you spending money that you perhaps don't need to anymore? How could you earn an income in an alternative way that could perhaps support you on your journey? Or is there a way you can stay in your current employment? And I coach my clients through this a lot because I think people read my story and they get attracted to leaving the job and following your dream. And that's all you really see. And let's be honest, following your dream comes with a bit of stress in itself. It's not like I've been stress-free over the last 4 years. Owning your own business, being an entrepreneur is a lot of work. It takes a lot of heart and determination. So there have been times where I've coached some of my clients through, what is it about your current employment that you don't like? Because sometimes that's a story in itself that we tell ourselves.
How do you mean?
So if I would have known then in the world of media what I know now, I mean, I was wrapped up in a world of consumerism. I was complaining all the time. It was everyone else's fault why I wasn't happy. Gossiping with my colleagues about my employers. It was a really negative, toxic environment. And looking back now, I realized that most of that was self-induced.
That makes sense.
So that's the first thing I would ask. Am I am I creating this stress? Is there a different way that I can approach my current employment so that there's more ease, there's more flow, there's more joy? Not saying that doesn't mean you have to leave it, but it could provide you with a little bit of peace as you begin to take the next steps towards your goals and dreams on the side while you save that money.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it. And what do you suggest or have to tell people, do you think? I'm sure you get people to ask you this a lot. Because for us, we sort of know, and you too, you knew what you didn't want to do and you knew the direction you did want to go. But some people only have half of that equation. Some people only think, well, I know I hate this job. Really, I don't want to spend any time there. But then they don't really know what they want to do. And that's, I think, a problem so many people have. It's
a huge problem and or challenge rather, but there's also, I believe that a simple solution, and that doesn't mean by doing this that the answer will magically appear. However, what I'm seeing is that people are trying to, I need to find my passion. I need to find my purpose. There's this push that happens, this struggle, this forcing of energy to find purpose, find passion, find meaning. And I believe that's causing a lot more distress than anything. Our purpose doesn't have to be monumental. It doesn't have to be changing or saving the world. You can be a Walmart greeter that receives intense joy from smiling at people and greeting them as they walk in. And that could indeed be your purpose. So I would suggest giving yourself the opportunity and the permission to relax on forcing yourself to find what that is and allowing yourself in a really easy way to explore. So look at things that interest you. Look to your past. I mean, I love looking through old journals or looking at old books that I bought, and I can definitely see a pattern now over the last 15 to 20 years that I am doing exactly what I was always meant to be doing. I know that without a doubt. And I can see that by the little clues from my past, the books that I bought, the workshops that I took, the things that I was interested in. So I would suggest that, looking to your past. And, those continuing education catalogs that you can pick up, I'm sure, in every city.
Yeah.
The college continuing education catalogs. I remember always picking them up, whether it was for the art college or for, a community college or the university. And I would just flip through them and I would really pay attention to what's pulling at me. What's pulling at me? What causes me to pause and say, that's interesting. I think that's a brilliant way to start, is just to explore where your heart moves towards and what your intuition says as you read it or see it or experience it.
I agree with that. I know we're going to take a break. I'll say my thoughts when I get back. Well, all I was going to say is I think in my own journey, like you said, Jackie, going back and kind of getting still and remembering what it was that gave you joy when you were younger. I feel like I got so off track, and those things that I went on a 3-day silent retreat and really reconnected myself with those things. And it was so surprising that those things that when I was young that got lost in life came back to me, and they're exactly the giftings that I have and I've reconnected with. And you're right. I mean, reflecting on that, there's so much power in that, and it kind of propels you, I think, forward into the next phase of what your purpose might be. But I think it just gets so muddled with life. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I just got goosebumps when you shared that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I've been doing a lot of that, and I just really resonated with that when you said that. So thank you.
This is awesome. Okay. Good stuff. We're with Jackie Dumaine. Her website is theyogacode.com as well as JackieDumaine.com. And we're going to be right back. When we come back, I'm still curious to find out a little bit more about finding your purpose and how people do this. And I love what she was saying about looking back in your past, and you can see little clues. It's like
absolutely.
It's like someone who goes and robs a store and they leave little tiny clues all over. You can find out what they did, what time they were there, and all that.
I love it.
So this is good stuff. All right, so we're going to be right back with Jackie Dumaine from theyogacode.com. We'll be right back right after this.
If you are currently using any hair care products that contain dyes or colorings, these things can be carcinogenic. You see, anything we put on our skin, even in the shower, gets into our bloodstream and causes a toxic overload to our organs over time. That's why we only recommend Morocco Method hair care products, because they're 100% chemical free, 100% organic, raw, vegan, and even wild crafted and picked according to the lunar cycles. Listen to what our guest Anthony Morocco says about foaming agents in the shampoos.
Well, number one with hair care is the sodium lauryl sulfate, which is the foaming agent, which is really carcinogenic and it's very, very toxic. So that's number one. And so they're so afraid of it. The industry has made 38 different names for it. They've created cocamide, they've created coconut, they've created palm oil. But anything that foams is sodium lauryl sulfate. So I would say that you really need to read your ingredient lists. And if you cannot pronounce the word, it's made in a laboratory.
So would even organic hair care products that foam, would those be damaging as well?
Yes. Organic really today is not what it used to be. So it's just the word. It really, to me, is not reality. If you want a real product, you want to look at wild craft.
As a former hairstylist, I love Anthony's products. If you'd like to have truly healthy and luxurious hair, no matter what your texture, go to extremehealthradio.com/MM for Morocco Method or see it in our store. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/MM to learn even more.
In today's modern world, we're surrounded by magnetic radiation, electric fields, radio waves, microwaves from our cell phones, our laptops, our computers, iPads, and even cell phone towers and power lines. These EMF frequencies damage the blood-brain barrier, they cause sleep problems, they decrease melatonin, and disturb our electric bodies. After much research, that's why we recommend a company called Less EMF. Listen to what founder Dr. Emile de Toffel has to say.
The dangers of radiation. Where do you even begin? There's many different kinds of radiation and there's many different kinds of dangers. Modern electronic devices will emit a variety of electromagnetic fields. Electric fields, magnetic fields, radio waves, and microwaves. This type of radiation has been associated with a variety of health effects, including cancers, headaches, sleeplessness, ADD, diabetes, and more. The effects seem to be cumulative, and our exposure seems to be cumulative as we're adding more and more electronic devices in our world and spending more and more time with each one. Radiation levels and the type of radiation from these devices vary, but its impact seems to accumulate in the body. So we do have shielding of a variety of different kinds. We have shielding metals to control magnetic fields, shielding canopies to put over your bed. So if you have an electromagnetic situation, we probably have a solution for it.
Protect yourself and your family today. They've got very affordable products for all of your portable devices, your home, and more. Visit extremehealthradio.com/less EMF. That's LESSEMF. Or check them out in our store to see videos. Again, go to extremehealthradio.com/less EMF.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
So, Baby Kate, you know what? That's your new name now.
Oh, apparently. No, it has been spoken.
It has been spoken. It has been decreed.
Oh, my. I love it.
You know, 2014 is going to end, and we still don't know who this guy is that's singing behind me.
Was that our goal for 2014?
I believe it was.
Contact the artist who sings this amazing Southern banjo song.
We have nothing better to do than to find out who's singing this song.
Yeah, right. I wish we had all that kind of time in the world. We'll track him down. Someday he's gonna write us an email.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that be?
That'd be hilarious.
We'll attract it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We'll put the intention out there.
We should have him come in studio and do a little song for us.
Private concert, please.
That'd be great. So this is episode 349 with Jackie Dumaine from theyogacode.com, and we'll make sure to get into the Yoga Code and what that actually is and how that can help everybody's lives. So that's going to be an interesting discussion too. But I think, Kate, during the break, you had a couple different things you wanted to ask.
Well, I was just saying to you that I resonate so much on a different level. I mean, Jackie and I have very opposite lives as far as the money I was making and doing things like that. But I really value what she said, and really my soul resonates with the fact that when you start valuing different things for your life, the material possessions and the desire for things really start to fade away. And I just feel like that's happened in my own life too. And it's when I start to put different value on things is when the shift really happened for me. And it's amazing how money kind of shows up when you need it for the things that you value the most. So
right.
Yeah, Jackie, I was curious, when you decided to up and go to the ashram, how long did you spend there and what happened to you in there? Did your desire for material things and experiences just really, really shift there more than you thought and expected?
Just to let you know as well, I play the accordion. So if you did want to, start a band with your banjo guy,
I love it.
I'd be more than willing to see if I can pick it up again.
I love it.
That is amazing.
And bring your dachshund as well. We'll have a party.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Kate, that I'm really glad you asked that too, because going to stay in an ashram in India, if anyone can do it without some major shift happening in their life, I will, award them a prize. Mm-hmm. Yoga teacher training. I mean, I was in a fully immersed yoga teacher training program. So I was there in total for 5 weeks in India.
Okay.
And, the training is super intense. So there wasn't a lot of time to just go and fully explore, because you're studying every day and, there's classes every day. But the very nature of being in India and seeing, just what you see, the children who have nothing, yet they're so happy. The simplicity of living. I mean, the ashram, living quarters are very, very simple. The food we eat is simple. We eat together as a group, eat in silence. I mean, there are so many life-changing experiences that occurred. But I didn't realize the impact that it had had on me until I came back. Mm. And that's when, the integration phase, sort of hits you. So I was the self-righteous yogi when I came back, and I like to share that, I bought my first pair of Birkenstocks, and I thought, I'm a yogi now, and this is how I have to speak, and this is how I have to dress, and this is how I have to act. And it really, I remember the first yoga class I went to, listening to women talk in the change room, and there was 2 women talking about some type of body cream. And it was like this really, really high-end body cream, and they were going back and forth about it and how amazing it was. And I just remember feeling ill, like thinking, wow, people here have no idea. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a dangerous place to be, because you do. I came back self-righteous. Like, I knew the answers, and that yoga was the way, mm-hmm. and yoga could save the world. And it was not a really healthy place to come from. Mm-hmm. But that shifted soon as well, because I, integrated back into the world and, got into the business with Stillness Room, and then with the yoga code, which, has been an amazing journey. I decided that I wanted to teach yoga philosophy rather than the postures. And, going back to finding your purpose and your passion, that's one thing I would also really stress to the listeners is, look at what's not being done already. Find out what your passion is. I knew my passion was yoga, but it really became the philosophy of it, and how to share the philosophy in a way that was Western and hip and approachable and fun, and not really dry and academic, which is, traditionally how it tends to be taught. And, but I'll also, as we're kind of going on this topic of deciding what our values are and changing our life in order to be more in alignment with who we want to be and how we want to live, this last year was a really challenging year for me. I would say the last maybe 14 months. I hired like a big shot business coach to help me build the yoga code into this online empire. And it was a lot of hustle. And I moved into, built and moved into a brand new house last December. And it's beautiful, but it's big and it's massive. And my son had moved out. So I was by myself. And so here I was in this huge home with 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, hustling to bring this yoga business into this $1 million online empire. And once again, I found myself at the exact same place that I was when I was in the corporate world. My spirit started to break. And I had to really wake up to that and say, no, this is crazy. I'm not living what I'm teaching anymore. I'm being pulled away from the true meaning and the true purpose of what the yoga code principles are. And I need to get back to them, because that's what is going to fill me, and that's what's going to help me help others and help me teach it to others in an even deeper and authentic way. So a month ago, I put my house on the market. It sold in 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just decided that's it. I don't need this, and I have no attachment to it. And the fact that it sold in 2 days tells me, again, intuitively, this is what I need to be doing. I'm moving from my house in about 20 days, upon which I'm going to go stay at my parents' house for 3 weeks. And I'm so excited about it. My parents are amazing, amazing people that I love.
Oh, wow.
And on January 12th, I'm leaving to go back to the ashram. I'm going to go back for 5 weeks and reconnect with the principles, and not in a yoga teacher training program. I'm just going to be there as a human being, just studying and reading and working on the yoga code book and studying with my teachers, diving deeper into these principles and reconnecting with them again.
Wow. That's really cool that you're actually doing this. That's just amazing. That's so cool. And so, what do your parents think about all this?
My parents think it's awesome. I mean, they're excited. I moved out of the house when I was 17. I was a bit of a rambunctious teenager, and, I liked to explore. I often joke, my mom always told me as a child, you can do whatever you want in life. And I really took that to heart as a teenager and did whatever I wanted to.
There you were gone.
My parents live in a small town outside of the city, and my brother also lives there. My 3 nephews live there. All my family is there. And I've been really disconnected from them this last year because I've been, quote unquote, too busy building my business. And you talked about values, Kate. I value my family. We're, a really close family that loves each other dearly. And so the fact that I feel so fortunate to be able to go and spend this time with them, and they're welcoming me with open arms. And because of the nature of my business, I mean, it's, my coaching is all done via Skype, so I can work from wherever I am.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. And when I get back from India, I will go back to my parents, and then I'll just decide what I want to do from there, which is most likely buy a small 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, or perhaps travel again. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of freedom in uncertainty. And I'm going to repeat that because I love that. There's a lot of freedom in uncertainty.
That's true. That is so true. And okay. I
just think that is the most powerful, beautiful thing, that you're so transparent with sharing that with all of our listeners and your listeners, because I feel like a lot of the guests, we have on kind of have their story behind them, and it's kind of a wrapped up chapter, and that's kind of what they are and what they're about. And I find it so refreshing to hear you speak, because I'm on such a journey too, where, okay, sure, that chapter might be done, but a new chapter is waiting to open, and we don't have all the answers, and we don't have such a solid way to live life. It is a flow, and it is changing. And I just think that is invaluable. And I'm so happy you shared that part of the story.
Thank you. I'm really happy that it resonated with you. I mean, I believe that, I love being transparent because I want others to know, because this has happened to me. People say, you're so lucky. You found your purpose. You found your passion. You've got it all. And, you can look on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and everyone posts only the great things.
Right.
And, it doesn't matter. If you found your purpose and your passion, you can still have struggles and you can still have challenges. And it doesn't mean that there might be another purpose or passion down the road for you in 5 years.
Exactly.
So we're always exploring. We're always, I consider myself to be a curious creature. So I'm always curious as to what the next thing is. And I'm grateful for this last year, even though it was filled with a lot of more spiritual challenges for me, and kind of going into living in the blind side again, right? The consumerism, the materialistic world, etc. And so if we can all embrace and appreciate that even along the journey of finding our purpose, we will continue to have struggles and challenges, but that they are all meant to be there to propel us onto the next step. And it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
I love that. We're going to take a little bit of a break. I was listening to this philosopher a while back, 10 or 15 years ago, and he was talking about, a lot of times people think about, God and how, does God want me to marry this person or to live in this house or to take this job? And the person was saying that God is less interested in those types of things than he is in what kind of husband or wife you're going to be or what kind of worker you're going to be. And the ultimate thing is not necessarily the particulars and what job I take. Do I take the job working here or job working there? It's more what kind of worker you are. You can work anywhere you want, but if you're not a good employee, then your purpose hasn't been fulfilled. Or if you're a horrible husband or wife, what does it matter who you're married to,
Yeah.
So I thought that was really poignant too. And then when we come back from the break, I want to get into some of the principles of the yoga code, because you said you talked more about the philosophy behind it instead of the yoga position. So I'm really curious to find out what those are. So we're with Jackie Dumaine from theyogacode.com.
As well as JackieDumaine.com.
That's right. The Yoga Code and JackieDumaine.com. And we will be right back right after this break. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself. So go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. Hey guys, if you've been following our work for any length of time, you know that I'm a big fan of raw food. I did a raw food diet actually from 2003 to 2010, 100%, and I loved it. And raw food is a huge part of my diet, and I just love it. And if you're interested in making healthy, really amazing raw food dishes without spending hours and hours in the kitchen, I would highly recommend checking out a program put together by Russell James called the Raw Chef Program. You could check it out at extremehealthradio.com/Raw Chef.
Chef. And I have to say, it's absolutely incredible. I have it, and it's got hundreds of hours of video, professionally done video, along with workbooks and PDF files. And he walks you through how to make the most amazing, delicious raw food meals that don't take forever. Everything from mock pizzas and pasta to ice cream to cheese to fluffy bread, if you can imagine it. It's incredible. So I highly recommend you checking it out. It's you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/raw chef. And I think you are absolutely going to love this program. So check it out now.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
And if you guys would like to consider signing up to our newsletter list, we'd love to have you aboard. We've got thousands of members on there. And if you do that, you'll be updated about all of our shows, our upcoming shows, and get great content that we send out once a week to you. So I highly recommend you do that. And you also get a free MP3 audio program that I put together for you if you want to sign up to that. So I would highly suggest you doing that. And if you have any questions about any of these products that we just mentioned, the Qigong or the Raw Chef or Morocco Method, Less EMF, just let me know. I'd love to help you out. And if you're interested, those are all in our store as well if you want to go ahead and check those out at any particular time. And we appreciate you being on the show. This is episode 349.
You got it.
349 with Jackie Dumaine from theyogacode.com.
I was going to call you Baby Justin, but that doesn't work.
No.
Baby work. Kate just has a ring to it, right?
It does. Baby Kate, Baby Justin, doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all.
So, Jackie, I wanted to ask you, get into a little bit about the yoga code, what it is. And you said, I mentioned this before the break, that it gets into more of the philosophy of yoga.
That's right. I only teach one yoga class, like a physical yoga class a week. And I've directed everything towards these 10 principles that I initially discovered when I was at the ashram the first time in 2010. And what people don't know, this is really, really interesting. There's an ancient text called the Yoga Sutras, and it is in essence the Bible of yoga. It's even written in verses. It's written in 193 verses, and it was written thousands of years ago, and as an attempt to teach us how to use the philosophy, how to use yoga in our lives to reduce the suffering and increase the joy and the peace in our lives. And the first verse, it was written by a sage by the name of Patanjali. The first verse is, now begins an explanation of yoga. So basically he's laying it out there that in this book, I'm going to teach you how to use yoga to change your life. And out of these 193 verses, 3 of them talk about physical postures.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's really surprising.
But we are so body focused in the Western world, it's what we focus on.
Huh.
Interesting. So only 3 of all the verses are about your posture. And so, what are those verses that do talk about the posture? What are those about?
Well, there's 3 that talk about asana, so the physical aspect of yoga, right? So, upward dog, downward dog, not describing the actual postures, but that talk about, using the body in asanas, which is basically the Sanskrit word for postures. Okay. But all the other 193 talk about the spiritual side of yoga, in particular, these 10 specific principles that Patanjali, who wrote the Yoga Sutras, believed should be practiced as the foundation to everything in our life. And so I took these 10 principles and studied them more in depth, and I call them the Yoga Code. They are, in essence, a code of living, a code of ethics, a value system that are really, really simple. When you hear them, you'll think, yeah, that's simple. I mean, those are basic things, but we always tend to forget. So I became fascinated with this, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to share this with people, because we just have no clue in the West how important this portion of yoga is to our lives.
That's wild, yeah, because I've done quite a few yoga classes in Cadis also, and we've never heard of these 10 different scriptures and things like that. That's amazing.
Principles, yeah.
So I can do a full day workshop on these 10 principles, and I know we don't have that time, but I'll just quickly name all 10 of them.
Yeah.
And for your listeners, if you do go to theyogacode.com, you can actually download a free poster that lists all of the principles, as well as a 90-minute workshop on these principles, so they can dive into them on their own when they have the time.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So the first one is kindness and compassion. That's obvious. It's the Sanskrit word is ahimsa. We want to be kind and compassionate to everyone around us. However, that needs to start with ourselves. So on a foundation of self-love, kind in our thoughts, kind in our words, kind in our action, kind in our energy. The second principle is truth. And I mentioned that already. So of course, don't lie to others, but don't lie to yourself. So practicing truth in our lives in all ways, even in small ways. If you get invited to, your third Christmas party this week and you really don't want to go, you don't have to lie about why you can't go. You can simply state, I choose to not go because I've been invited to so many parties and I'm choosing to stay home with my family that night.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with just telling the truth. The third principle is non-stealing. So not stealing opportunities from others. If someone shares with you that they're going on a vacation and you look at them and say, must be nice, that's stealing joy from someone else. Let them have their joy. Not stealing opportunities from ourselves either.
Well, you know what, too? Also, another thing that goes along with that is, whenever you say to someone or someone says to you, they want to do something nice for you, and you say, no, it's okay. Please don't do that. But, it's okay.
You're
I'm
robbing
fine.
them of the gift.
Yeah, they want
That's
to give
right.
you a gift, and you're not letting them, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great example. The fourth principle is moderation. So practicing moderation in what we do in life, or the amount that we work, even in our technology, how we eat. I mean, we need to practice moderation in what we eat. I brought technology because someone said to me the other day, I'm on Facebook way too much. I'm like, well, practice moderation in that portion of it as well, in our spending and our consuming. Principle number 5 is non-attachment. So not being attached to material things, which I find to be the easiest one to let go of, but not being attached to outcomes. So we can pour our heart into something and do our best, but to remove ourselves from the outcome that we can't control. Simplicity, purity and simplicity is principle number 6. So bringing purity into our lives. Meditation is a way to bring purity to our spirit and to our mind. Eating healthy, clean food. I heard on the break that you were a raw foodie for 7 years. I mean, that is bringing an immense amount of simplicity into the life and into the body and purity as well. Decluttering your house. That's a great way to practice simplicity.
Yeah.
That's something we're doing right now.
Yep.
It feels so good. It opens us up for so much more to come into our lives.
I believe that.
Principle number 7, contentment. Santosha is the Sanskrit name. And that is really being able to have the courage to believe that joy and contentment is within us, regardless of what is happening in our outside world. So our world could be falling apart. We could be experiencing challenges and obstacles, but can we still stay in touch with that internal joy? And gratitude is the quickest way to bring us there. The quickest way.
Now, how do you do that during the time the explosions are going on around you? That's the biggest thing, isn't it? It's hard to do that.
Well, it doesn't mean that, in the midst of turmoil that you don't, you have to walk around with a smile on your face and everything is lovely. Trust me, I still love a really good meltdown on the bathroom floor every once in a while. And I think we need those moments in our lives. But, contentment is knowing that we'll get through, knowing that everything is going to be okay. And can we look around and express gratitude for 2 or 3 things around us, even in the midst of some darkness?
I think too, expressing gratitude, it's one of those things where it's almost like what's his name? What is the name of the motivational speaker, Tony Robbins?
Oh, Tony Robbins.
Talks about doing incantations instead of affirmations, where you bring in emotion to the things you're being grateful for, and making it a physical act instead of just saying it in your mind. And I think what you're just saying there is would be very much helped by actually feeling the gratitude instead of just sort of saying the words.
Yeah, it's not lip service. You don't just say, well, I'm grateful that I have a house to live in. And that's not I'm so glad you mentioned that, because some people say, well, at least you have a house to live in. Why don't you be grateful for that? And it's like, that's not really the point of it, right? I mean, it's got to be really, really felt in the body, of like, being grateful for the ability to love, for, right now I can look around and dive deep into the small things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I have this placemat on my kitchen table that was literally from my childhood, and I inherited them from my parents. And I can look at that and think, wow, there's so many good memories of this placemat. I mean, then I feel it. It takes me back to being a child and remembering my mom putting these on the table when we had dinner together as a family.
Yeah, it definitely helps to bring the feelings of gratefulness in while you're saying those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 8th principle is commitment or self-discipline. And some people get a little bit, they're like, I don't like the word discipline. It reminds me of being a child. And well, we need discipline in our lives. We absolutely, we wouldn't shower or brush our teeth if we were all completely undisciplined.
Yeah.
But this principle, in Sanskrit, it means heat. So the word is tapas, which literally means heat or fire. So self-discipline requires us to persevere even when things get hot, right? To stay true, to stay committed, unless you're hurting yourself for others. And I want to stress that all these motivational quotes of never, ever, 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 ever give up. Sometimes you need to know when to let go as well. And that can take discipline, like the self-discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
And every time we commit to something and follow through, we boost our self-esteem. So I believe that the practice of self-discipline is an ability to increase our self-worth and our self-esteem.
I think that's such a good point, because a lot of times people, they make these little micro commitments to themselves. They say, on January 1st, I'm going to go to the gym, or they make all these little things. And what I always tell people is, instead of making commitments that are really, or disciplines, I guess, commitment disciplines that are really big like that, if you can just stay true to your word and do little things every single day, that will help give you momentum to start believing and being a person of your word. And when you know that you are a person that does things and you're a person that takes action and follows through with what you say you're going to do, like that's that self-worth you're talking about.
It's that's bang on. And it's an exercise I give my clients. Actually, it's a 30-day challenge. And, yoga studios will sometimes have 30-day challenges. And, that's a big commitment to get to the studio 30 days in a row to practice.
Yeah.
But I suggest to my clients, as you said, Justin, pick something small. And I always suggest something that can be done in 10 minutes or less, that is really easy to do, but also easy to skip. So, because that's where, our commitment comes. So, for example, one of my clients decided, okay, I'm going to floss my teeth every night before bed for 30 days. And I love that, because it's something that, maybe I'll just skip it tonight. Nobody has to know.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
But we know.
Right.
And it only takes a few minutes. But if you stick to it every single day, those little commitments continue to boost your self-esteem. And then they allow you to take on bigger commitments.
I love that. Because there's something that happens, like what is it that happens within us that when we don't carry through on our little commitments like that? What is it? Do we lose respect for ourselves, knowing that we're always not going to follow through with what we say?
Well, I agree with that, because it's a common theme from my clients when we get to this. They'll say, I never stick to anything. I could never stick to anything. And oftentimes it's because the commitments start off monumental. Like for example, let's bring the raw food into it. If you just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to become a raw foodie for the next 7 years, and that's it. That's my commitment.
Right.
It has to start small, right? It has to start with the exploration of it. So it could be, I am going to, for 30 days, not even just go completely raw, but I'm going to cook one. I'm going to, do one raw meal a day, or, just something small, or maybe it's just, I'm going to research one article on going raw every day to really get into the practice of it. For myself, I have a commitment to practice yoga every single day, but to me, that means anywhere from 10 minutes to, 90 minutes. So as long as I've hit my mat for 10 minutes, whether that's in Shavasana for 10 minutes, because that's still a yoga pose, child's pose, downward dog, just something to get connected with my mat.
You know what's really, there's such a balancing act with this, because on one hand, I'm totally with you. On one hand, I have these little disciplines like that, but then I also, it's challenging because I don't want to be so attached that I start beating myself up if I miss the commitment. But I think that for people that are looking to change their life, it seems like it might be a good thing to sort of attach yourself to the commitment, at least for the 30 days. And then after that, not beat themselves up if they don't floss their teeth before bed, and make it a discipline and a habit. But, they might miss 1 out of 10 days and then not beat themselves up for it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up too, because this isn't, I'm not saying don't ever make big commitments. But by practicing the little ones, we practice self-love, which goes back to the first principle, kindness and compassion to ourselves, that, if we miss a day, have kindness and compassion to yourself. You'll know the truth. You know the truth, right? Was the truth that I just didn't honor myself, or was the truth that I really, really couldn't do it that day? But for me, the whole principle of tapas and the exercise of committing to committing to small commitments is about connecting with how it feels when you do it. So that very moment that you have the choice to floss or not floss, and you think, well, nobody will know if I skip this. In that moment, there is so much power. There's so much power. And if you decide, you know what, I am going to do this, that feeling that washes over you, if you can connect with how it feels, that's what when I want to, maybe skip out of one of my commitments, I go back to, how is it going to feel for me if I follow through with this? How is it going to feel?
That's a big one, because
I'm reading a whole book on that right now. I don't know if you've heard of the Desire Map by Danielle Laporte.
Oh, Danielle's a friend of mine.
Oh, yes, I have. Well, there you go.
Fellow Canadian as well.
Yes, and her book is changing me, because it's talking in the beginning all about the feel of the outcome. If we can get ourselves to that point. I mean, she paints it in such a beautiful way that I never thought of that like that before.
It's so brilliant. I mean, and it, again, just like the principles of the yoga code are so simple, going back to basics, just like Danielle's work of going back to the basics of how do we want to feel.
Yes.
Is so powerful. So my core desired feelings for 2015 are simplicity and freedom. So my decisions will all be made around that.
Oh, I love
that's so cool. So do you go into each new year with a sort of a theme for the next year coming up?
I do, not as, this year feels more powerful for me, because last year was going to be the year that it was really about following through with what I said I was going to do. And I had said I was going to do some pretty monumental things with the yoga code. So, but I was, as mentioned to you, it was a challenging year. I kept running into roadblocks. I was working on the full digital online program, and then my laptop crashed. I got hit with the worst flu ever. I mean, just little signs were appearing in my life that allowed me to pause, and then the truth came out. It's like, I don't even want to do this right now, but I felt like I had to because I said I was going to. And so, we need to give ourselves some, slack on that too, and practice kindness and compassion towards ourselves, that we're allowed to change our mind sometimes.
Right.
Exactly.
We're allowed to change our mind.
You know what's challenging?
It's okay.
You know what's challenging for me is knowing, because I'm in the same sort of boat with this whole radio thing that we're doing, and I love it. I love it so much. But it's a challenge because sometimes, stresses happen and challenges happen during the growth of it and all that. And it's hard to know sometimes whether or not that's a challenge to see what kind of resolve you're going to have, or if that's a message from God or the universe or whatever you want to say, if that's some sort of message that you should stop doing it. And for me, it's never, anytime I've ever had those types of experiences where the website crashes and I don't have any backups and the website's going to now be, months old and missing data and all this stuff, I've never come to doubt whether or not I should be doing it. And I think that might be helpful to some people, because if they are doubting, maybe that's something different for them. Maybe that is a sign of something different. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I know for me that I believe it was a sign, God, the universe, whatever word someone wants to use, that I needed to, this was all happening this year. So now I know, selling my house, going back to the source, going back to these principles, I'm more inspired than ever. And I know I'm going to come back with more content for the Yoga Code book. I'm also creating a certification program to train others how to use the Yoga Code system to become their own coach. So to use the system that I've been using for 2 years. And I was going to do a lot of that this year. And I know now that I needed to make all these shifts in my life. I needed to sell the house. I needed to go back to India. I fully believe that with all my heart, that it was the universe putting a pause on everything and letting me know you're not quite ready yet. You need to learn more. You need to learn more.
So sometimes it's who you become in the process that enables you to be able to give your best to the world, right? So for you going through this and for us going through what we're going through, it causes us, I guess, to be stronger so that we can offer more, different dynamics to the type of work we do and the type of work we put out.
Well, we're all a work in progress. So absolutely, every time we run through, and the principle of tapas, which again means heat, not a Spanish appetizer.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I keep thinking food when you say that.
Every time we persevere through a challenge, whether it's following through and getting it done or having the courage to realize, no, I've got to put this on hold for now. It's almost like we burn a layer of self-doubt off of ourselves in that heat so that we can re-emerge new again and stronger.
Yeah, and then when you do that, then you offer a different sort of perspective. Because what if you weren't going through what you're going through right now? If you had just perhaps stayed in your corporate job and did, let's say you could have done the Yoga Code while you still work there, but you would have so much less to offer people. You'd have such a less compassionate and less understanding of not having gone through all of the experiences you went through. So bringing that into your awareness and your experience, I think is going to make what you do so much more powerful.
Exactly. And not only just the corporate job, but if I hadn't gone through this year of being caught up in the marketing of the Yoga Code rather than the living of the Yoga Code, if I hadn't have got caught up in that, I wouldn't be where I am now, excited to take the next step, knowing that it's going to produce some of my best work yet.
Wow. So did you go through 8 of the 10 principles?
I went through 8. You're correct.
Okay, good.
And so the 9th one is self-inquiry. So really taking every opportunity we can to understand why we do the things we do, why we say the things we say, to really be an observer to our own actions, noticing our triggers. People that trigger us hold the greatest lessons for us, right? They're our greatest teachers. So this principle of self-inquiry really just asks that we go into contemplation every once in a while and evaluate who we are, who we want to be, and who we want around us in our life. Getting quiet.
That's a big one, isn't it?
It is.
I mean,
it is. And it's all encompassing. And I'd ask people not to get, obsessed with analyzing every move that you make, but to be aware.
But sort of living with intention and having a direction that you're setting and not letting the direction of other people's opinions or news media or TV shows or, I think that's really important for people because a lot of times we get so caught up in what the media is saying to us and what's on the news, what our friends are doing. And we just get kind of tossed and turned, in the sea of our life, and we don't really know where we're going. So doing what you were just talking about seems to make a lot of sense for getting some clear direction on what you're doing.
And this is a perfect time of year to do this, the end of the year, to really reflect back on last year and to really set your intention for the new year while bringing in the principle of truth. Like, what is the truth of what I want next year? What is the truth? Not how someone else wants me to live, not what a business coach wants me to do. How do I want to live my life? How do I want to run my business? Maybe I don't want social media anymore. And if I don't, that's okay. But what is my truth of how I want to run my business, live my life, be in a relationship, be a mother, to really dive into a state of self-inquiry and then listen for the answers that come up.
That is so powerful because, man, so many times I see people and they just do what people tell them to do. Like what you just said about, having a business coach talking to you about social media. And, if that's not something that resonates with you, there's no right or wrong. You can choose to run a business without social media. I mean, I don't have a cell phone. I have a landline.
Wow.
Somehow I've never had a cell phone. And somehow,
slightly envious.
I know.
Somehow I'm able to live,
I always love my example that I've been going through the past few years of wanting to quit 15 years in the business of hairstyling, and I'll attempt to quit it, and people will say, "Oh, but you're so good at it. You're so good at it." And it keeps me going longer than I should because I'm putting too much value. I mean, it's complimenting, and it actually keeps me stuck, which is really interesting to me.
That's true.
Oh, I'm really glad you said that, Kate, because I was actually going to mention something similar earlier and I forgot.
Oh, great.
Just because we are good at something or just because we have the ability to do it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean we should or need to if our heart's not in it.
Amen.
I'm great at advertising sales.
Right.
Doesn't mean I have to go back to it, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there doing things that they don't like to do, but they're really good at it. And not only that, they're really successful at it. So people around them say, "Oh my gosh, you're so successful. You make so much money. Life must be good." But inside,
you're on the hamster wheel.
Yeah. They know that they haven't brushed their teeth or flossed their teeth enough, or they know that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
beautiful.
It's a powerful thing. And so, so the yoga code, is it a complete course, or is it something that's going to be worked on that if people can get involved with? How does it work now?
Well, I'll, you know what? I'll just say the last principle so we can
we have one more.
I thought we know. And the last one's like
Sorry.
What's the equivalent to Shavasana in a yoga class? It's surrender.
Surrender.
Okay.
So, if you look at all the other principles, take them all into consideration. The principle of surrender for me is about showing up to life, doing the work, persevering when things get challenging. But in the end, we have to surrender to what is.
Mm-hmm. So sort of the idea of non-attachment too.
Yeah. In a way that, I get asked that a lot. What's the difference between non-attachment and surrender? And for me, surrender, there's a grace to it that when we're in a state of surrender, we're like in the flow, in the groove. Things are just kind of coming our way. It feels good. Mm-hmm. But it's not passive. Surrender is not passive. So it's not about sitting on the couch and, watching The Secret 10 times in a row and just wanting to manifest things in our lives. That we have to go out there and we have to do the work. But ultimately, we have to surrender to what is.
Uh-huh. I like that.
That's like the posture of Shavasana at the end of a yoga class. You show up to the yoga class, you do the work, you hang out in challenging postures sometimes, you practice truth, you don't do postures that you're not able to do, and at the end, you let everything integrate. So we are in a world where we don't allow things to integrate. We move from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And especially in the world of self-development, I'll often have women contact me who want to work with me, and I'll ask them, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm reading this book, and then I did this workshop, and I'm doing this online course." And I ask them, like, "Okay, stop it all. Like, just stop it all and allow your body time to integrate the material that you've just learned rather than jumping to the next thing right away."
So how does that look for people if they have done a lot of courses or done a lot of reading? Does the surrender and the integration, are you talking more in terms of just sitting with it and seeing how it infuses into your life, or are you talking more about practical stuff? Yeah.
Well, practicing it, so doing the work, but also exactly what you said, just sitting with it, allowing it to integrate. Take a pause from business once in a while. Take a pause from life once in a while. Sundays to me are like the day of surrender for me. I don't like to make plans. I just like to surrender to whatever is going to come into my day that day.
Yeah, we were just joking the other day when because we have so many people in our life that want us to do plans and make commitments and things. And during this time of year, if you let it can get sort of stressful. And we're joking that, we should just tell people, well, I would love to go to your party if, in 3 weeks, but at the time that the actual party is happening, if I want to go, then I'll go then. But right now I can't give you that commitment right now.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's truth.
It is true, but people aren't good with that sometimes.
Yeah, they wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But,
so to answer your question too on what the Yoga Code is right now. So currently the Yoga Code is a workshop that I host live, mostly here in Calgary. It's a weekend retreat that is in the Rocky Mountains, and that's going to be shifting next year as I travel with it. In fact, right before I go to India, I'm hosting the Yoga Code workshop in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Which is exciting. Yeah,
That's
in
neat.
Amsterdam, which is really interesting. From Amsterdam to the ashram.
Right.
yeah,
That could be a book.
I love that.
That is the book title. I love it.
Yeah. And possibly in Italy next summer. So that the Yoga Code will be traveling next year. But my baby, my passion is the Yoga Code coaching program. And that is a 3-month one-on-one coaching program done with me via Skype from anywhere in the world. And I take the women I work with. I hate the word clients.
I know,
Actually,
right?
I hate the word hate too, but I do not like the word clients because they really, in fact, become deep friends of mine. But I take them through a journey week by week through the principles of the Yoga Code, how they can apply it into their lives. They're given what I call soul assignments every week.
Oh, I like that.
It's a pleasant word for homework.
Soul assignment.
Yeah, on how they can apply this principle. And I've coached women in through this it's been 2 years now, and I'm just blown away by the results. I'm blown away. I can't even keep up with the testimonials that are coming in to put on my website because every day there's a new email from a past client from a year and a half ago who says, oh my goodness, I can't believe how this principle just applied in my life today. And this is what happened. This is what the result was. And so this is what has sparked this, desire, which has been a desire for 2 years, but it's actually going to happen now because the time is right to do the certification program. So to train others to become Yoga Code coaches. And I'm so excited about that because I typically only work with 10 women at a time, and I want this work out there in a bigger way. And the feedback for it has been phenomenal, especially from yoga teachers who want to add, like the physical yoga teachers, who want to add another element to their career.
It's probably really important right now, like, cause you started saying at the very beginning of this, show together that, like, I would agree that yoga is just so popular. It's popping up all over the place. It's become this hip and trendy thing, which is great that people are, loving it and connecting with it. But if there's that layer, that really important layer added, which is what you're bringing to the world, I think that the healing could go so much deeper in people's lives on so many levels.
Well, it's learning how to practice yoga when you're off the mat. And that's truly what it is.
I love it. I love that.
Wow, what awesome thing. So you're going to be out of your house, you said, in 20 days. Is that right?
In 20 days, yes.
Oh,
moving back with my parents until I leave. And I'm just so excited. I mean, this interview came at a really great time. I've been looking forward to it. And I wouldn't have had as much to share, I believe, if we had done it earlier. So I'm grateful that I waited this long.
That's so cool. We're so excited. Timing. Let us know if we can ever help you in any way or get the word out further, because I just love what you're doing. It's so cool.
Thank you. Well, if people want to follow my journey, I love to post some images on Instagram. So you can find me there, Jackie Dumaine. So I'll be posting stuff both there and on Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. And I'll be documenting some of my journey in India without journaling and documenting all of it. Because again, I believe in this world of social media, sometimes we need to keep certain things sacred and private.
Yeah, I agree completely. A lot of people are just going the opposite way. And as you can probably tell, not owning a cell phone, I really resonate with that. I was going to ask you if you're going to be sharing any photos and things from India, but I will. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, I certainly will, because of the color there. There's just too much beauty not to share. And, just with, the people that have supported me throughout the years and the women I've worked with in workshops, retreats, etc., they want a little bit of a glimpse into what I'll be doing out there. And, I want to share it with the world. And my vision, most likely in 2016 will be to take a group to the ashram where I first discovered the Yoga Code principles and studied them, and let people discover the beauty that is India, and let them be in this place where, the birth town of yoga is where I'm going, in Rishikesh, northern India. So
it's going to be
that as well.
It's going to be kind of cold there then.
It will be during the day. It's around 20 degrees Celsius. I wish I knew that in Fahrenheit. I should. So double it plus 32. So about in the 70s?
In the 70s, yep.
Yeah. So it's warm during the day. However, in the evenings, it gets down to about 5 degrees. So that would be about 40.
Okay, right.
That's a big swing.
And no heat in the ashram. It's all marble. So, I'll be bringing a lot of warm clothes to sleep in. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you ever experience any of the stomach issues that some people get from drinking the water there?
No, I'm, don't drink the water. That's the key
Step
thing.
number one.
But if you accidentally do, I went back to India again that year. That same year, but I spent a month in Delhi. I was sourcing fabric for my meditation chair company. And both times in India, I didn't experience anything. I ate like food off the street that, you're always recommended to not. I mean, I was, choosy with the vendors that I would buy from, but I guess my stomach was built for it because I was fine.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I've heard some horror stories. Same with people going to Mexico, but it all depends on your own constitution. Some people do really well in those places.
Yeah, no, I do very well. So I was grateful for that because the food is fantastic.
I was going to ask you, have you ever heard of sensory deprivation tanks?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever done one of those?
I have not.
Yeah, we've been big fans of those for the past, I'm not sure, like 6 months. And my goodness, I was just thinking about one of your principles. I think it was principle 7 or 8 that you mentioned. And I just thought, wow, what a great way to infuse some of these principles into your life, because it's like meditation on steroids. It's just amazing.
That's really curious. I wonder if there must be one in Calgary somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder if there is.
I'm really curious to see what that experience would be like.
Yeah, we've been going for quite some time now, and it's
made a huge difference.
It's addicting, but it's completely changed our life. It's amazing.
Well, India is sensory overload.
Oh, I know, right?
So perhaps I'll book a session with the sensory deprivation when I get back.
That's hilarious. Oh, my goodness. So you're going to be moving out in 20 days, and then you actually leave for India
I leave January 12th. I go to Amsterdam first, and then to the ashram after that, and I return at the end of February.
How fun. That's going to be so fun.
Well, this interview was definitely in divine order because it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for being on. I'm so excited about what you're doing in the Yoga Code, and thanks for spending some time with us today. It's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you for being so open to it. I appreciate it with all my heart.
Oh, you're so welcome. Hang on the line there. We're going to close out our live show, and I want to thank everyone for joining us in the live chat room, extremehealthradio.com/live on Monday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So if you guys want to join us, make some friends, hang out with Isby, and join people in the chat room, that would be awesome. And there's lots of great people in there, and you can always do that. Or you could just catch the podcast whenever it becomes available, and that's always the more popular option because people are working, people have busy lives. So you can always catch the podcast. Typically we post it the next day, so we'll try to get that up very quickly for you. And this was episode 349, right, Kate?
It was
349.
Baby Kate says yes.
Baby Kate says yes. And we'll put all the links of everything we talked about on extremehealthradio.com/349. So if you enjoyed this particular show, all of us would be so grateful, Jackie and as well as us, if you would share it with your friends. We'd appreciate that so much. And thank you so much for being in the show.
Have a great Monday, guys. We love you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, that was an awesome show with Jackie Dumaine, JackieDumaine.com. I've got a lot to share about this particular show. How about you?
My mind won't turn off right now.
A little bit?
That's how much I have going on in there.
I love it. All right, we're going to be right back right after this break.
So I've been following a guy named Lucas Rockwood for years and years, and he's a yoga instructor and a raw foodist, and we were finally able to get him on our show on episode number 10. So if you want to listen to his interview, it's really good. But he's a really good guy. We're honored and proud to be supporting him and his products at Yoga Body Naturals, and he's got this really cool product called the Yoga Trapeze, and you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/trapeze, and that's TRAPEZE. It's really cool, like a yoga swing that you can install in your house or in your garage or anywhere. It's really, really cool. It helps to invert the body, and you could do back bends, and it's really, really an amazing thing for elongating your spine and relieving back pain. But the power of inversion is really, really critical. It's really sold and marketed as something that will help your back, but the power of inversion is really, really great. And people like David Wolfe and lots of other people talk about how powerful it is to invert the body for some portion of the day for as often as you can. And it's really cool. It comes with a bunch of videos that teach you how to install it. And it's got a bunch of practice videos too that comes as a bonus. He gives you a 2-month supply of this Liquid Energy B, which is like $25 normally. And he's got 108 Super Juices ebook that's normally $30, and also a Yoga Trapeze chart that's normally $20 that he throws in as for free. And you can get them in purple, two-tone purple, or two-tone orange. And the cool thing is that you can try it for just $1 for 30 days. And it's really, really a cool thing. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/trapeze, you can learn more about it and watch the videos of him using it and demonstrating why it's so good and all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, elongating the spine and using inversion to help heal your back and to have better posture and all of that, it's really something that you should look into. But before you look into it, listen to our interview with him in episode number 10 and just learn more about him and what his work is all about. And then go to extremehealthradio.com/trapeze if you're interested in getting this thing. And if you get it, let me know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about it and how it's benefited you and all that. So thank you for listening. And you can also check it out in our store too. So don't forget to check it out there. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the interview.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
Well, Baby Kate. Sweet Sassy Molassie, Baby Kate.
You're funny. You're extra funny today.
Extra funny.
Got some extra funny sauce poured on you.
Extra funny sauce.
I think it's because you have a birthday coming up tomorrow.
That's right.
Can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, I'm secretly excited.
Yes, secretly.
So that was a pretty cool show, right? Jackie
Pretty
Dumaine?
cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked it.
Oh, we spoke with her off the air, and you know what? I think we both completely agree that show was for us more than anything today.
It was, wasn't it?
Didn't you resonate with that whole show and just the parallel lives we seem to be living?
Yeah.
In different story form?
You know what's so funny? What I get from a lot of this is, isn't it funny how we live in such a male-dominated society?
How so?
Well, just everything is about success and results and reaching benchmarks and reaching goals and pursuing your passion. I mean, pursuing your passion is not necessarily, but just that hard-driven success. It just seems like I'm focused on that, but it's good to have a reminder to just let things be and to focus on helping as many people as possible, and that's the ultimate goal, and never let anything get in the way of that. And I felt like I've always had that ethic. And on the flip side, you also want to be able to pay your bills, and you want to be able to, pay your mortgage and rent, and be able to pay for the kids and pay for
keep your water on
and all that stuff. And so there's this
unless
balance.
You're in India when you don't want to drink the water, but
that's true. That's true. But there's this funny balance. But I really loved her transparency, how she's moving out of her house in 20 days, and it's pretty cool.
Sounds like me and
your journey
my goal to leave my job in about 20 days. So
yeah,
I'm very paralleled to her right now.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't it? It's wild that we all have different stories too, different backgrounds.
Totally.
With her story, because you're going through the exact same thing she is.
I am.
And she had a little bit of a different way that she led up to her quitting.
But we both are there, and
yeah,
the journey, the end of the journey. Well, I should say the beginning of the journey is the same, but the means of getting there is looks completely different,
Right.
Yeah, I'm walking away with so much from that today. I feel like the first thing that she said that really, really got to me today was her value system. I've looked at my life completely change the more I've been able to kind of hunker down and stay at home and not be. Well, first of all, it goes back to living a depressed life. The more depressed I was with the all those years of stress at the salon made me want to buy things and drink too much alcohol and, that kind of stuff. I don't value that anymore. So I'm actually saving money so I can have more time, which is what I value more, doing what it is that I want to do. And that's being here, investing in what I think is important.
Right.
And the fact that she said that too, I mean, when she was talking about the things that kind of like slough off as you become not attached to the things that don't matter anymore. It's a really powerful thing. It's really subtle, but I'm a whole different person than I was a year and a half ago of what I valued.
Well, then too, also on top of that, you, instead of going out and having a glass of wine with friends or spending money on things you don't need, the fact that you're, staying home more is almost like what she was, I forget which principle it was, but it's almost like your version of doing a meditation or something. Because when you're spending time at home now a little bit, you're finding out what you really do value. And so it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle that you start really getting more connected with your ideals and your goals and who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live. Well, that's part of it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's like a living meditation. Your life becomes a living meditation,
right? Which
is a strange way to think about it, but I think that's the shift that happens. I think her yoga code principles are phenomenal.
They remind me a lot of the work of, what is his name? Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh,
the Four Agreements.
Yes.
But just really simple truths that it's really funny because you can, if you think about them long enough, you can unpack them a lot. Like the one about kindness. Your first thought is, okay, am I kind to people? And you can say, okay, I'm kind to people. But when you start thinking about it a little bit deeper, are you kind to yourself? You wouldn't necessarily think about that unless you really, unpacked it a little bit more.
And on so many levels, like when I first think of that, what you just brought up, you think, oh, did I do something nice for myself today? Or did I take it? But you can take that 8 steps further down the rabbit trail and go into your brain. Were you judgmental of yourself? Were you, feeling guilty of something you felt? It's like, that's not kindness to yourself on any level. So really being kind to yourself takes a lot of practice and a lot of opening to really see what that means
and looking at your disciplines or your if you go out and eat that piece of pizza, are you being kind to yourself? So you can really unravel each of these principles, which is probably what she's doing in the book, to apply to so many different areas of our life, and so that makes a lot of sense. For me, one of the things that's strange is like, I think a lot of people have, this idea that they're supposed to start a business or do something different with their life or whatever it is they want to do. And it's going to be all rosy and you're not going to have any challenges. And so when the challenges come up, I find it very, very interesting because if they keep coming up and they keep coming up, like we both had, tried different things, and I think that looking back now, we can realize that those things weren't in alignment with who we are.
Yes.
I was at one point doing I wanted to start a software application for hairstylists to be able to book their clients, book their appointments, and keep everything in a central database and be able to connect to their clients and all this stuff. And I could look back now and realize that was never what I was supposed to be doing, And all I could think of was, wow, there's a need for this, and a ton of people could sign up for it, and they could run their businesses better, and blah blah blah. But looking back on it, I realized that was never what I was supposed to be doing. And so, we had so many obstacles that kept coming up that I think there's a difference between when you have obstacles and if you really get, think about it on a deep level and you think, are you really supposed to be doing whatever it is you're doing? And if your answer is no, and you have all these obstacles, maybe that's a good sign that you should quit, because there's a balance. You hear people talk about, just don't give up and persevere, and don't be a person that gives up and all this stuff. But then that's sort of a more male idea, just pushing through and push. Whereas the female is more like the water in the river that, goes down a creek, and whenever it comes to a solid object, it just goes around it. And I feel like there's an element there of knowing really what you're supposed to be doing, and then looking at the obstacles through that lens. Because now I can look back at those obstacles and just look like, wow, it was clear that I never should have done this. But with this, like I shared on the show, we've had obstacles where the whole website went down and we lost shows, and it was a miracle that we were able to get it back. Remember that when the site crashed and we were going to lose weeks and weeks worth of content? That was when we were doing 4 shows a week. So we would have lost 30 or 40 interviews. But I look at obstacles like that now, and I just know so deep down in my heart, this is what we should be doing.
And through that all, you felt, I remember you were like, there is no plan B. This is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
It was different.
It was different, and I knew it. And so when the obstacles came up, it was like, okay, I'm either going to let the obstacle get me down and we're going to lose, 30 or 40 shows. And that's just going to be, I'm going to have to not be attached to anything, not be attached to the goals or to the outcome, to the success or to the growth, and just let it go. And maybe that's the lesson, or the lesson is, this is just an obstacle to see and to test your resolve, to see how committed you are to what you believe to be your truth. And if this is your mission, then you will fully succeed. And I think that when you're living your mission and you have obstacles, I don't think you ever waver in knowing what you're supposed to be doing, because it's fulfilling, it's successful. You have all these crazy circumstances that happen. For us, we meet the most extraordinary people. All these random events happen that never would have happened.
No.
Never would have happened.
No. Right.
And so you can see that there's a difference there. And so for you, it's the same kind of thing. You're having the same kind of thing where you're having all these signs. You just had a sign. What was the message today from the email?
I follow I'm on Lissa Rankin's email list, and she sends out a daily thing called the Inner Pilot Light, and more often than not, they are just exactly where there's for me that day, in a way that, I know they go to thousands of people, and
they're general.
But to me, they're speaking right to me. And
yeah, there's a difference, because you can look at these things and say, oh well, it's just chance or something, but it still doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It still really applies.
It's for me.
To you. Yeah. And so do you have it up?
I have it up, but I might share it on Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I want to talk about my whole upcoming, where I kind of am at this point anyway. Unless you want me to read it right now.
No. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
It's really...
I'm going to save this one because it's perfect to talk about on Friday.
Yeah, Jackie Dumaine, the Yoga Code.
Phew, check her out, guys.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
She was so inspiring to me.
She was intrigued that I didn't have a cell phone.
Most people are. Most people are.
That's awesome.
I love it.
All right, everybody. So this is episode 349. If you want to check it out and share it with your friends, we'd appreciate that. Please leave us a review on iTunes if you can. Head on over there and type in Extreme Health Radio, all one word, and leave us a review if you enjoyed this show. We would greatly appreciate that. And don't forget to go through our link on Amazon for any of your holiday shopping. We'd appreciate that so much. That does help keep the lights on here, as Tom Bodette says. And it does help us pay the bills, and we appreciate all of you so much for doing that. And I can't tell you how much that helps us. So, but if you would like to support us more, we do accept donations, and we're so extremely grateful for everyone who's donated. I can't tell you enough. It really does help us so much. And we also have a great store with all kinds of great products, like the Bellicon Rebounder, the sauna, the Q laser that we use, the biomats, blenders and juicers, all kinds of cool stuff. And that's all on our store too. So if you want to support us with any holiday shopping for your friends and family, with any appliances, things like that, we've got some great stuff in our store. So we're going to be adding to that too.
Might I add my new favorite sexy line of pans?
Ooh,
ceramic
sexy
cookware.
Pans.
Sexy pans.
Sexy pans.
I'll say it again and again. I never thought a pan would be sexy, but man, am I loving my ceramic Extrema cookware.
Not sexy pants. Those are different. Those are different pants.
Those are different.
Yeah, Extrema cookware is awesome, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah, we just got the...
We got the 6.5-inch skillet and the 12-inch, and let me tell you, I've had them for 3 days, and they are changing my world in the kitchen.
Have you used any oil in them or no?
I have used a little oil in each of them, yeah.
And they're okay with that?
They're amazing.
Yeah, chemical-free, toxin-free, heavy metal-free, lead-free, just incredible cookware made 100% ceramic. Doesn't leach anything into your food, which is pretty rare.
Pretty rare these days.
Yeah, pretty rare. And I think that's in our store too.
It is. Thanks to you.
Cool.
All right, y'all.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis